Listen up, guys. The 2024 F1 season is about to blow your mind. With just 70 days until preseason testing, teams can't test current cars, but here's the twist. Today we're diving deep into the jaw-dropping new F1 rules that's gonna flip the game. So the 2023 F1 season just wrapped up in Abu Dhabi, and now all eyes are on the 2024 season. Max Verstappen and Red Bull had a killer year, but here's the scoop. McLaren and Ferrari are stepping up their game, tweaking their cars to bring some serious competition to the table. Now, Alfa Romeo is in for a name change, switching to Sauber in 2024 due to sponsorship changes. Hold on to your hats because they're set to become the Audi team in 2026. And Red Bull's junior team, AlphaTauri, is throwing it back to the good old days, considering renaming themselves Racing Bulls quite a throwback, right? Now, on the main event, the records. The 2024 F1 season is breaking records with a whopping 24 races, making it the longest season in F1 history. The bigwigs at FIA, the bosses of F1, are all about being eco-friendly. So they've scattered the races worldwide, making an Asian leg by moving the Japanese GP to April. And guess what? The Chinese GP is making a grand return after a 4-year hiatus. Talk about a comeback. But that's not all. The Qatar GP is now the second-to-last race, strategically placed to help the drivers cope with the scorching heat they faced in 2023. Oh, and here's a clever move, the final race in Abu Dhabi. They're shipping all the cars and gear there to make things smoother. Next, let's dive into the preseason testing. Before the 2024 F1 season kicks off on February 29th, teams are getting a head start with testing in Bahrain starting on February 21st. They've got a solid 3 days to make sure their cars are top-notch before the first big race. Now here are the kicker testing hours, which are from 10 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the evening. It's a change from last year when it went on until 7:30 in the evening. The FIA, the big bosses of F1, made this tweak to be more eco-friendly and make the series more sustainable. Now the cool part is that both the testing and the first race are happening in Bahrain, so they don't have to shuffle cars and gear around too much. Smart move, right? Now, let's shift gears to the car launch dates. Hold on to your racing helmets because the dates for the 2024 F1 season cars are still under wraps. In the 2023 season, teams revealed their rides between January 31st and February 16th. But here's the twist. Preseason testing kicks off on February 21st, 2 days earlier than the previous year. This might just prompt teams to flaunt their new wheels a bit earlier than usual. Now, let's talk about rule changes. The FIA is shaking things up for the 2024 F1 season with some juicy alterations. Brace yourselves, folks. According to the revised Article 10.2c of the sporting regulations, cars can only use components and software that have been previously used in at least one competition or TCC testing of a current car of a championship season. The aim? Preventing teams from introducing entirely new components on an old car to gain an advantage beyond testing restrictions. Now, onto the applied tests, Pirelli's special request. In 2024, there's a boost in the days dedicated to collecting data for tire development, jumping from 35 to 40 days. Why? Well, drivers had some gripes about wet tires, so they've added 4 test days exclusively for full wet and intermediate tires. Plus, there's a push for better visibility with the ongoing development of splash guards. The first trial in July at Silverstone didn't quite hit the mark, leading to a second attempt in May with a whole new design. Based on the feedback, the FIA will decide whether to introduce anti-spray devices in 2025 or potentially delay until 2026 when new regulations kick in. Alright, let's talk about filming days and testing with previous cars. The behind-the-scenes action you didn't know you needed. Teams gear up for filming days, a promotional extravaganza where they flaunt their spanking new cars. Now, here's the scoop. There used to be a mileage limit of 100 kilometers during these events. But hold on to your helmets because starting in 2024, they're doubling it up. Teams must now complete this extended mileage within a single day and talk about pushing the limits. Now, on to testing with previous cars, a game changer. Teams can now have private tests during the season, but there's a twist. The cars involved must be at least 2 years old. And guess what? In 2024, teams can roll out ground effect cars for the first time. This opens up a golden opportunity for young drivers from different academies, or third drivers, to gain hands-on experience with this generation of cars. These testing days are like gold mines for drivers, giving them a chance to rack up the kilometers behind the wheel of a Formula One car. But wait, there's more. The federation has thrown in a modification. Teams are now required to use materials that have been previously introduced in at least one official session of the 2022 test, or Grand Prix exclusively. Why? To prevent teams from trying to be sneaky and testing new components during these days. They want to keep things legit and avoid generating data for the development of the 2024 Formula One car. Now, aside from the primary new rules we've already dished out, there's a whole buffet of changes to sink our teeth into. First off, no more Grand Prix with fewer sets of tires. They've scrapped the previous practice of supplying 11 sets for the weekend instead of the usual 13. Drivers and teams weren't having it, complaining that it just didn't add to the overall thrill of the race. Now, about those heating blankets, they were supposed to hit the road, but guess what? That plan's on hold until at least 2026. So, for the next 2 years, we're sticking with the current practice. Also, in response to the Qatar GP's scorching conditions, where cockpits turn into mini saunas, ducting located in the nose of the car is getting the green light to open up. It's all about improved airflow, providing more cooling for the pilots in crazy hot situations. And now hold on to this one. From now on, changes to metal parts on the car's floor are in the cards, all in the name of enhancing participant safety. They're going for golden safety improvements, folks. Now, small tweaks in the financial limit department are also in play, giving teams a bit more flexibility to adapt to the financial constraints that have thrown a wrench into their gears on more than one occasion. But let's fast forward to the 2026 season, where a game-changer decision has been made. The development of the 2026 car can't kick off until the beginning of 2025. That means no physical production until the year preceding its implementation. Despite all the cool prototype work happening on computers using simulators, the hands-on production is delayed to ensure a smooth and well-prepared introduction of the new car. Now, onto the thrill of sprint races in Formula One. Looking ahead to the 2024 season, there's a buzz about potential changes to the sprint race format. And guess what? Teams and bosses are giving it a nod of approval. While the changes aren't set in stone, discussions with the FIA are set to continue into January. Brace yourselves for a possible overhaul of the weekend timetable or the introduction of a reverse grid format. In the 2023 season, the 6 sprint weekends already saw some tweaks, with a separate qualifying session determining the grid for the Grand Prix. Now the game is getting a major shakeup with the separation of the Grand Prix and qualifying. Teams are now placed under park firm rules from FP1 onwards, and discussions between F1 and the teams are buzzing with potential format overhauls for 2024. Picture this one proposal. It is looking to move qualifying for the Grand Prix back to the afternoon, with the sprint race kicking off in the morning. The sprint shootout qualifying, deciding the grid for the sprint race, would be scheduled for Friday after FP1. This potential change might just crack open park firm conditions after the sprint race, allowing teams to tweak and tune before the big qualifying showdown. Finally, let's talk about the unsung heroes, the reserve drivers. The 2024 F1 reserve driver lineup is starting to unfold, and teams are making some interesting moves. Some squads like Red Bull are keeping their 2023 reserve drivers on board. A shout out to the rookie Liam Lawson and Mercedes Mick Schumacher. But wait, there's more. McLaren is taking the lead by introducing 2 fresh faces to their lineup for the upcoming season. Ryo Hirakawa, this year's 24 Hours of Le Mans winner, and IndyCar driver Pato O'Ward. It's a dynamic mix of experience and new blood, and we're itching to see how they fare in the high-stakes world of F1. So, guys, what do you think of these new 2024 rules? Drop your thoughts below, and hey, hit that subscribe button for more adrenaline-pumping updates. It's going to be a wild ride, and we want you in the driver's seat.